Hey everyone, it's Mr. Hollywood, and today I am doing my top 20 favorite movies of the decade so far. Now, before I give you my picks, feel free to share your picks for your favorite movies of the decade so far down below in the comments. And before I give you my top 20, I'm going to give 8 honorable mentions. And I'll admit, I almost considered doing a top 25, but I decided to still only do top 20. I'm just going to give 8 honorable mentions. Now, my honorable mentions in no particular order: Blue Beetle, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and Deadpool and Wolverine were the 3 main superhero movies that just missed the cut. I did love all 3 of them for various reasons, but unfortunately just missed the cut. The Fall Guy, very enjoyable film. It's a great film about Hollywood itself. Unfortunately, it just missed the cut. Sonic 3, I had an amazing experience. I saw this in the Regal with my buddies. And part of me wants to put in the top 20, but my gut just tells me there were 20 movies I liked more, so that just missed it. And then Bullet Train, same thing. It's kind of on the cusp, but unfortunately it didn't quite make it. And then this new movie, Mickey 17, with Robert Pattinson, really enjoyable sci-fi flick. Unfortunately, it just missed the cut. And then The Fabelmans, great movie about Spielberg's life. It's kind of a love letter to his career. Unfortunately, that also just missed the cut. Now, the top 20, starting in at number 20, the only movie from 2025 so far that made the list. And I was debating where I put this because I did kind of have conflicting feelings of where I wanted to put it, and that is Sinners, my favorite movie of the year so far. Now, this is a movie I definitely do need to rewatch, because if I rewatch this, I feel like this can move quite a few spots higher. But because I didn't have as much time to process it, because this is a movie that does challenge you, and I do appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was an amazing movie. It might be Ryan Coogler's best film, which, I mean, the first Creed was also pretty amazing, but this might be better. I think the first Creed's probably my favorite, but yeah, it's tough. I think after my second rewatch, I could probably, maybe I'll do a Ryan Coogler ranking and then watch all of his other films, but yeah, it might be his best film, but, I mean, yeah, I really enjoyed the film. I thought Michael B. Jordan gave a great performance. I thought Haley Steinfeld gave a great performance, and I think it was a very fun horror flick. But right now it is only my number 20, but after rewatches, I think it could definitely move up. Number 19, Dune Part 2. On a visual level, out of this world. And I will admit, it does definitely improve on the first Dune in a lot of aspects. I thought the story was more engaging. I thought there was a lot more going on. However, I feel like I do need a bit of a complete story before I move this up higher. But I am very excited for Dune 3. But Dune 2, there were actually a few things that did frustrate me a bit. I'll admit, I do think they completely wasted Austin Butler's character. But I still really loved the film. But for me, it is only number 19. Number 18, The Iron Claw. A movie that I saw in theaters opening weekend, and I loved it. And then sometime last year, I watched it again, and I loved it even more. I think it's an amazing movie about rising and falling and trying not to have peer pressure get the best of you. But as we know in the story, it unfortunately did get the best of the brothers. I just thought it was an amazing tragedy story about the Von Erich brothers. I thought Zac Efron gave an amazing performance. I thought Jeremy Allen White gave an amazing performance. Yeah, this movie is very emotional, but it is a great film. Number 17, Tenet. Easily the best movie of 2020. And a movie kind of like Sinners, where the first time I watched it, I didn't really know what to think about it. And, well, I mean, I presume this will probably happen when I rewatch Sinners. But the second time, I understood it, and I liked it even more. Now, can Tenet get a little too ridiculous at times? Probably. However, the second time I watched it, for me it flowed a lot better. I thought the action in this was out of this world. I thought the acting from John David Washington and Robert Pattinson was amazing. And I just really had a blast with Tenet. And I debated maybe putting it a little higher, but these next few I just liked a little more. But nonetheless, Tenet is a great movie, and it is number 17. Number 16, The Creator. Great sci-fi flick about AI, because obviously we're getting to a point in time where AI is becoming a lot more popular, and I feel like this movie is kind of like, what if AI took over the world? I absolutely loved The Creator. I thought John David Washington gave an amazing performance, and I thought he went on an amazing journey. I thought the robot was an interesting character, and I just thought visually it looked beautiful. So yeah, The Creator, number 16. Number 15, Oppenheimer. Now, on an objective level, it is probably better than the next few. However, obviously, this is a favorites list. It is also about rewatchability. I do not see myself rewatching Oppenheimer anytime soon. I absolutely loved the film. I had an amazing experience. I thought it told an amazing story about Oppenheimer's life. And I thought Cillian Murphy gave an amazing performance. Obviously, Robert Downey Jr. also gave an amazing performance, and they both won their first Oscar. Obviously, this was a film that gave Christopher Nolan his first Oscar. And to be fair, that's fair enough. There were actually a few movies that year that I do think were more deserving. And we'll get to those in a little bit. But yes, Oppenheimer I thought was an amazing movie. Do I think it might have been a little bit long? Probably. Still had an amazing time. But, yeah, I adored Oppenheimer. Unfortunately, I just do think there were a few movies I enjoyed a little more, and that I just liked a little more. Number 14, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I'll admit, I don't think this film is anywhere near the greatest comic book movie of all time. But I still love the movie. I think it definitely gave a great... I think it followed up Into Spider-Verse very well with Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy. I thought the chemistry between them was amazing. I thought it was amazing seeing all of these Spider-Man, and I thought animation-wise it looked beautiful. However, the cliffhanger at the end does still drive me nuts. I do have to admit that. Now, maybe with Beyond, this could probably move higher. However, right now, and I'm not even sure where Beyond, when Beyond will even come out, because that's gotten delayed a bit. Right now, as just a film, it's only my number 14 in terms of my favorite movies of the 2020s. Number 13, Avatar: Way of Water. Now, objectively, Oppenheimer is definitely better. However, Avatar: Way of Water, I just had an amazing experience. Now, do I think this movie was way too long? Absolutely. But visually, it might feel bold, but this could be a contender for visually best movie I've ever seen. Which, maybe I'll do a video of the best movies visually that I've ever seen. And I will admit, I did enjoy the movie more than the first Avatar. Did it definitely retread a lot of stuff from the first Avatar? Yes. However, I actually think it did better. I thought the action was better. I actually felt a lot more engaged with the story. And yes, overall, even though Avatar: Way of Water, it feels like a lot of people have turned on it, I still think it was worth the wait. So yes, Avatar: Way of Water is my number 13. Number 12, Top Gun: Maverick. Which might surprise some people that it's only my number 12, considering I'm obviously a massive Tom Cruise fan in terms of, I don't want to spoil my top 10 actor list, but it's safe to say he's very high up on that. But yes, Top Gun: Maverick. I absolutely loved that movie. I had an amazing experience watching this in the cinemas and a few other times at home. I thought the action improved massively from the first film. I thought the soundtrack, while maybe not as memorable as the first film, still a banger soundtrack. I thought this was a great dramatic performance by Tom Cruise, where this is one of his better acting performances. I do think it's a little bit more of an emotional, heavy performance, which is part of the reason why I do think it is one of his better, in just in terms of acting. And I thought the dynamic between him and Rooster was amazing. And obviously, it feels a little, I guess, harder talking about it because the last time I rewatched it, I remember Iceman's death was really powerful. And obviously, with the recent death of Val Kilmer, this movie does hit a little bit heavy. And the final battle I thought was amazing. So, yes, this movie, I do love Top Gun Maverick. And honestly, from this point on, this is, honestly, these movies are next level. Not in terms of just well made, but in terms of my enjoyment. So, yes. Top Gun Maverick, my number 12 of the decade. My number 11, Glass Onion, Knives Out. I absolutely love this film. I thought this film was captivating start to finish. I absolutely love Daniel Craig as a detective in both films, but I think I might have liked him a little more in this film than in the previous. However, in both films, he's amazing. I thought Edward Norton was an amazing villain. I thought the story was very interesting. I thought this movie really was an amazing murder mystery. And I'll be honest, based on the first hour, Miles definitely was suspicious, but I didn't think it was Miles based on the first hour. I'll admit, I thought this was way less predictable than the previous film. So yes, this movie I just think was a lot more captivating start to finish than the first Knives Out. Well, maybe not a lot more, but a little more captivating. And also, in terms of just movies in the 2020s, I adored Glass Onion, Knives Out, so it's my number 11. Number 10, a movie I would not have expected in a million years that would be in my top 10, Thelma. A movie that I bet a lot of you guys haven't seen. Thelma is a very interesting experience. Because on paper, this film should not work. This film should be like, what is this? What is all this? But on an emotional level, this film I thought was amazing. And it's a film that I feel like it's kind of a movie that you kind of just gotta see. Because it's a little harder to describe why it's so amazing, if I'm being completely honest. It just is. And I thought the emotional journey of people in their later life, maybe not knowing who they are as much, but it's a story about finding ourselves, and it is still about dealing with real life circumstances. So yeah, Thelma I thought was a great movie, and it is my number 10. Number 9, Killers of a Flower Moon. Now, rewatchability is one of the only reasons why this movie isn't higher. However, this movie is amazing. Leonardo DiCaprio's performance and Robert De Niro and Lily Gladstone, their acting was off the chart. I think this was very interesting, directed by Martin Scorsese, who, after seeing some of his other films, I'm not going to spoil who I think the 10 best directors are, but I'll leave it at that. But he's got a good case to potentially be my number 1. But I thought this movie was just amazingly directed by Scorsese. I thought the whole intrigue of, Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro are up to no good. They're the people behind all of this, killing Lily Gladstone's family. However, it's still very intriguing to watch the whole film and go on the journey. So yes, Killers of a Flower Moon, I thought was also paced wonderfully, by the way, for a movie that's 3.5 hours. But yeah, Killers of a Flower Moon, I loved the movie, and it's my number 9 of the decade. Number 8, A Complete Unknown, which did end up being my favorite movie of last year. Excellently directed by James Mangold. I thought the acting was top notch, and I thought the journey that Timothy Chalamet, aka Bob Dylan, went on was really interesting. Because I'll be honest, I didn't really know much about Bob Dylan before this movie. So I kind of just went into this movie essentially just seeing Bob Dylan's journey. Like, it's not like with the Elvis movie where I was way more familiar of who Elvis was before seeing the Elvis movie. This, I was kind of blind because I didn't really know much about Bob Dylan. But despite not being a big Bob Dylan fan, I mean, I was very invested throughout this film. I also thought Edward Norton gave one of his best performances, like, to me, probably his best performance since Fight Club. And I just thought going on Bob Dylan's journey, seeing how he rose to fame, but I also thought he did a great job showing that he is lost inside, and I think this movie explored that very well, where I feel like it was a really complete biopic. So yes, A Complete Unknown, I absolutely love the movie, and it is my number 8. Number 7, The Holdovers. A movie that, I didn't really know what to think going in, but I did watch it because my dad wanted me to watch it, and because Alexander Payne directed it, who's also a director that my dad adores. So I did watch it with my dad, and we both adored it. Paul Giamatti, in my opinion, should have won Best Actor over Cillian Murphy. Now, Cillian Murphy is amazing. I understand why he won, but I would have given it to Paul Giamatti. I thought the story he goes on from being just a grumpy old man to, obviously the kid, obviously he couldn't really do much for the winter, and then they went on this journey together, and he kind of went against his grain, but I thought it was a powerful story, where obviously by the end he loses his job because he obviously did stuff he shouldn't, but in a way it still feels satisfying, and it feels like his character did still go full circle. So yeah, The Holdovers I thought was a beautifully made film, and it is my number 7. Top 6 for me are just on a whole nother level in terms of just my favorites. Number 6, Spider-Man No Way Home. A movie that I still love despite all the people turning on the movie because it was just fan service. Because obviously, yes, the fan service, Toby, Andrew, seeing all the old villains definitely did elevate. But at the same time, I still think it gave an amazing arc to Tom Holland's Peter Parker, who finally went through the ashes, experienced loss, and by the end, he is willing to sacrifice everyone knowing who he ever was just to keep New York safe. I thought it was a beautifully made film, and it is my number 6 of the decade. Number 5, The Flash. Essentially DC's version of Spider-Man No Way Home. However, to me, fan service wise, I think No Way Home, just in terms of fan service wise, No Way Home is definitely like up here, where The Flash, maybe like up here. Like the fan service, I still thought was great. Obviously, I love seeing Michael Keaton's back. I love seeing Sasha Guy's Supergirl. However, obviously, seeing Toby and Andrew was just a whole nother level. However, I thought this movie had a more interesting story. And I also thought the setup was a little bit better. And, to me, I think it ended a little bit more realistically. I don't need every movie to have the most realistic happy ending. Which, to be fair, No Way Home didn't have a happy ending. I think what Flash went through, I think, is a whole nother level. And look, obviously, the CGI is stuff that a lot of people hated. Do I think the CGI is amazing? Absolutely not. For me, I was able to get over the CGI. and I still adore the film despite the CGI. And obviously, it is hard to mention this film without mentioning that Ezra Miller had all these allegations before, and I don't want to go into all of it, but to me, despite, I mean, a lot of people not wanting to see it because of him as a person, which is fair enough, I still think acting-wise, I still think he did great acting-wise. And obviously, I thought Michael Keaton did amazing, so yes. The Flash is a film that I do love, and it is my number 5. My number 4, John Wick Chapter 4. A movie that I saw during finals week in my 9th grade first semester because I was sick that week. And I watched all John Wick movies that week. And yeah, once I got to this, I was completely glued in the screen, start to finish. This movie has top tier action. And I do think John Wick went on an emotional journey. And that stairway fight was cinema. But obviously the final duel was really personal too. And I think this movie ends perfectly. Now, obviously next week we are getting Ballerina. Am I excited to see it? Absolutely. Do I wish they left it off here? Yes. However, that doesn't change the fact that this movie is still an amazing movie. And it is my number 4. Number 3, The Batman. A movie that I adored when I first saw it, but over time I just love that movie even more. This movie is incredible. From Robert Pattinson's portrayal as the Batman, or as Batman, from Robert Pattinson's portrayal as Batman, to Paul Dano's Riddler, to Colin Farrell's Penguin, to Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman. This movie is just casted perfectly front to bottom. Also, John Turturro as Carmine Falcone I thought was very interesting. I thought the action was amazing. The story definitely felt like an homage to Seven, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. But this movie is still amazing. And we finally got to see Batman and the detective. Also, Michael Giacchino's score was perfect. So yeah, this movie rules. It is my number 3 of the decade. My number 2 and 1 are extremely close, and it's one of those things where if you ask me tomorrow, they could change. My number 2, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Obviously, in 2 weeks, we're getting Final Reckoning, my most anticipated movie, potentially of all time, up to this point. And yes, this film was amazing. The action was top-notch. And I thought the emotional journey that Tom Cruise went on was amazing. And this film, despite being a part 1, I still think ends on a... yes, it definitely ends on a cliffhanger, but it still feels like its own contained story, which is what I appreciate. And yes, I am dying to see Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. I am very hopeful that it will stick the landing, and I mean, if Final Reckoning is the final Mission Impossible film, for me that would make a lot of sense. And honestly, I kind of want it to be last. I do want it to go on one more mission, one last time. But yes, even if Mission Impossible Final Reckoning fails, this movie will always be amazing to me, and it is my number 2 of the decade. But my number 1, Zack Snyder's Justice League. The movie that completely made me fall in love with Zack Snyder. And it kind of got me back into movies. Because obviously this came out there in 2021. We weren't getting that many exciting things. And this movie was a special treat, and obviously not so special time. I adore this movie. I thought it improved on the theatrical cut massively, which obviously I know that's not a high bar, but I mean, to be fair, it did. And even without the theatrical cut disappointment, this movie's still amazing. I absolutely love the journey that we went on throughout this entire film, and seeing how it just builds upon each act, and the final battle was just amazing. I also love that we got to spend a lot more time learning about the characters, learning about their backstory, and I think they very much so fleshed it out perfectly. This movie I think is properly an epic. Sometimes to call it a movie just feels insulting. It's a 4-hour epic, and that's, I mean, it's massive in scale. It's just, to me, it does everything I'd want in a superhero movie. It's entertaining, and it's got a lot of heart, and I just think the story that we went on throughout, it was just amazing. So yes, Zack Snyder's Justice League is my favorite movie of the 2020s so far, and we'll see if any other movie tops it. Now, thanks for watching. Feel free to share your favorite movies of the 2020s down below in the comments, and I cannot wait for, first off, to see Mission Impossible Final Reckoning in just 2 weeks, but also to do a lot more videos this month. And I think this is going to be a really great month on YouTube. I'm very excited, and I'm very excited to watch more movies this decade. Now, thanks for watching, and peace out.